I was creating a surprise slideshow for our 10th wedding anniversary when I found them. My wife Jessica had been complaining that her phone storage was full, so I offered to help her organize her photos and back them up to our shared cloud account. I wanted to surprise her with a romantic video montage of our decade together. I was scrolling through her cloud storage, looking for our honeymoon photos, when I noticed a folder I'd never seen before. Recently deleted, auto-delete in 23 days. Jessica must have accidentally deleted some photos, I thought. Maybe our honeymoon pictures were in there. I clicked on the folder expecting to find family vacation photos or random screenshots she'd deleted by mistake. Instead, I found 847 photos and videos of my wife with another man. The first photo made my blood freeze. Jessica, wearing lingerie I'd never seen, in a bedroom I didn't recognize, smiling at the camera with an expression of pure desire I hadn't seen directed at me in years. My hands started shaking as I scrolled through more images. Photo after photo of Jessica in intimate poses, in hotel rooms, in cars, in what looked like someone else's apartment. All taken over the past 8 months based on the timestamps. But the photos weren't just selfies. Someone else was taking these pictures. Someone else was in many of them. A man I'd never seen before. Approximately my age, dark hair, athletic build. In some photos, they were dressed and looked like a normal couple out for dinner or drinks. In others, they were clearly intimate, clearly in love, clearly comfortable with each other in a way that suggested a long-term relationship. I felt like I was going to be sick as I kept scrolling. There were hundreds of photos documenting what was clearly a serious affair. Photos from restaurants I recognized, places Jessica had said she'd gone for work dinners, photos from hotels in cities where Jessica had claimed to be on business trips, photos from what looked like romantic getaways I'd never been invited on. The metadata on the photos revealed a timeline that made my chest tighten with each discovery. The first photos were dated 8 months ago, right around the time Jessica had started her new job and began traveling more frequently for work. Or what I'd thought was work. I found photos from Jessica's supposed business trip to San Francisco last month. She'd said it was a boring conference, had barely texted me the whole weekend. But these photos showed her at romantic dinners, walking hand in hand through the city, sharing intimate moments in what was clearly a luxury hotel suite. Photos from her girls' weekend in Vegas 3 months ago, except she wasn't with girls. She was with him, this stranger who was clearly much more than a stranger to her. Photos from late nights she'd said she was working, except she was in his apartment, cooking dinner together, cuddled on his couch watching movies, looking domestic and comfortable. The worst part wasn't just the betrayal. It was how happy Jessica looked in these photos. Happier than I'd seen her in years. Radiant, glowing, completely comfortable and natural with this other man. I kept scrolling, unable to stop myself. Each photo revealing more details about Jessica's secret life. Screenshots of text conversations between them. Messages calling each other baby and love. Plans for future trips. Discussions about their relationship, about their feelings for each other. One screenshot showed a conversation from 2 weeks ago. Jessica: I feel terrible lying to Michael, but I've never been happier. Him: I know it's complicated, but what we have is real. He deserves to know the truth. Jessica: I'm just not ready yet. I need more time to figure out how to handle this. Him: Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. They were talking about me, about my marriage, about how Jessica was planning to eventually tell me about their relationship. I found photos of them looking at apartments together, screenshots of real estate listings they'd favorited. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning a future together. One particularly devastating photo showed Jessica trying on wedding dresses. The timestamp was from last week, while I thought she was at a work conference in Portland. She hadn't been at a work conference. She'd been trying on wedding dresses to marry another man. I found a video file and clicked play, even though I knew I shouldn't. It was Jessica recording a message for her lover. She was in our bedroom, talking to the camera. Hi, baby, she said, smiling at the phone. I miss you so much. Michael's working late again, so I thought I'd send you a quick video before I go to sleep. I can't wait to see you this weekend in Seattle. I've been thinking about what you said about telling him the truth, and I think you're right. It's time. The video was dated 3 days ago. Jessica was planning to tell me about her affair this weekend. I sat in my home office, surrounded by the evidence of my wife's 8-month affair, feeling like my entire world was collapsing around me. Every business trip, every work dinner, every late night at the office, it had all been lies. Jessica was due home from her current business trip in an hour. A business trip that, according to these photos, was actually a romantic getaway with her lover in Napa Valley. I spent that hour going through every single photo and video, trying to understand the full scope of Jessica's deception. What I found was devastating. Photos of them celebrating what looked like anniversaries. Their own anniversaries, marking milestones in their relationship that ran parallel to my marriage. Screenshots showing that Jessica had introduced this man to her coworkers as her boyfriend. People at her office knew about their relationship, knew she was cheating on her husband. Photos of Jessica wearing jewelry I'd never seen, jewelry that was clearly gifts from her lover. Expensive pieces that she'd somehow managed to keep hidden from me. The most painful discovery was a series of photos showing Jessica and her lover at a couples therapy session. They were working on their relationship, trying to build something real together, while she was lying to me about working late. When Jessica's car pulled into our driveway, I was sitting in our living room with her laptop open, the deleted photos folder displayed on the screen. She walked through the door looking relaxed and happy, wheeling her suitcase behind her. "Hey, honey," she said, leaning down to kiss my forehead. "How was your week?" "Interesting," I said, turning the laptop screen toward her. "I found some photos while working on your anniversary surprise." Jessica's face went white as she saw the screen. She sat down heavily in the chair across from me, staring at the evidence of her secret life. "How did you find those?" she asked quietly. "They were in your recently deleted folder. You thought you'd erased them, but the cloud saves everything for 30 days. Michael, I can explain." "Explain what? 8 months of lies? Explain the wedding dress shopping? Explain the couples therapy with your boyfriend?" Jessica started crying, but they were tears of someone who'd been caught, not someone who was genuinely remorseful. "I never meant for it to happen like this." "Like what? You never meant to get caught?" "I never meant to fall in love with someone else while I was married to you." "But you did. And instead of talking to me about our problems, you started a whole other relationship." "Our marriage has been over for years, Michael. We both know it. I didn't know it. I thought we were going through a rough patch. I thought your new job was keeping you busy." My new job introduced me to Ryan, and for the first time in years I felt alive again. Ryan. Finally, her lover had a name. How did it start? We were working on a project together. He was funny, charming, interested in what I had to say. We started having coffee, then lunch, then 8 months of lying to me while you built a relationship with him. I know how this looks. How it looks. Jessica, I found photos of you trying on wedding dresses. You're planning to marry him while you're still married to me. Jessica wiped her eyes and looked at me directly. Yes, I am. The honesty was somehow more devastating than the lies had been. When were you going to tell me? This weekend. Ryan's been pushing me to be honest with you, to end our marriage properly instead of continuing to lie. Ryan wants you to divorce me so you can be together openly. Yes. And you want that too? Yes. I looked at my wife of 10 years and realized I was looking at a stranger. The woman who'd promised to love me forever, who'd planned our future together, who'd been sharing our bed while secretly planning to leave me for someone else. Jessica, do people at your office know about Ryan? Some of them. Do they know you're married? She was quiet for a long moment. Some know, some don't. I've been ambiguous about my relationship status. You've been telling people you're single. I've been telling people it's complicated. What's complicated about being married? What's complicated is being married to someone when you're in love with someone else. I spent the next several hours going through the photos with Jessica, forcing her to explain each lie, each deception, each moment she'd chosen Ryan over our marriage. The business trip to San Francisco had been a romantic weekend where Ryan had told Jessica he loved her for the first time. The girls' weekend in Vegas had been where Jessica had decided she wanted to leave me for Ryan. The work conferences had been apartment hunting trips as they looked for a place to live together. The couple's therapy photos, I said, showing her screenshots of her and Ryan in what was clearly a therapist's office. We wanted to make sure we were building something real before I left you. You were getting relationship counseling with your lover while refusing to get marriage counseling with your husband. Our marriage was already over, Michael. I was just trying to figure out how to end it without destroying you. By having an 8-month affair and planning to marry someone else? By finding the courage to be honest about what I wanted. The divorce papers were filed 3 weeks later. The photos from Jessica's cloud storage became evidence in the proceedings, documenting the extent and duration of her affair. Jessica and Ryan moved in together immediately after she moved out of our house. The apartment they'd been looking at in the photos became their new home. 6 months later, I heard through mutual friends that Jessica and Ryan had gotten engaged. The wedding dress she'd been trying on in those deleted photos was apparently for a spring ceremony. I never understood why Jessica kept those photos if she was planning to leave me anyway. Maybe she wanted documentation of her happiness with Ryan. Maybe she was planning to use them to prove to me how much better her life was with him. Or maybe she forgot that deleting photos from your phone doesn't immediately delete them from cloud storage. Maybe she thought she'd covered her tracks, but technology preserved evidence of her deception. The photos I found while trying to create a romantic anniversary surprise instead showed me that my marriage had been over for 8 months. I just hadn't known it. Jessica had been living 2 lives. The lie she maintained with me and the truth she shared with Ryan. The deleted photos documented her real life, her real feelings, her real plans for the future. A year after the divorce, I met someone new. Sarah was different from Jessica. More direct, more honest about her feelings and intentions. When she traveled for work, she sent me photos of her hotel, her meals, her colleagues. She made sure I knew where she was and who she was with. I want you to feel secure, Sarah told me. I want you to never wonder if I'm being honest with you. The deleted photos that destroyed my marriage taught me the importance of transparency in relationships. They showed me what deception looks like when it's documented, cataloged, preserved in digital form. Technology meant to bring couples closer together, shared cloud storage, instead revealed how far apart Jessica and I had grown. The photos I thought I was organizing for a romantic surprise instead surprised me with evidence that romance in my marriage had died months earlier. I never did finish the anniversary slideshow. There didn't seem to be much point in celebrating 10 years of marriage when 8 months of it had been a lie. But the experience taught me that sometimes the most painful discoveries are also the most necessary ones. Living in ignorance might have been more comfortable, but living with the truth, however devastating, allowed me to start building something real with someone who actually wanted to be with me. The 847 deleted photos documented the end of my marriage, but they also documented the beginning of my understanding of what real love should look like, and what it shouldn't look like when it's hidden in a folder marked for deletion.